I can't resist continuing with the program we had planned because it's of such an elevating nature, getting us ready to dive deep in our program. First, we are going to hear the reading of Maharishis' words, Our Guiding Light, read by the Raj Rajeshwaris. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Rishi, on this beautiful Guru Purnima day, it would be a great joy for us to read the beautiful words as you've spoken them about Gurudev, our guiding light. Our guiding light is the ever-shining, never-setting sun of divine grace, same, constant as the northern star and bright as the midday sun. Our guiding light is the divine grace of Sri Gurudev, Mahayogi Raj, His Divinity Swami Brahmananda Saraswati Raj, the most illustrious in the galaxy of Jagat Guru Shankaracharyas of India. He was Mahayogi Raj, greatest of yoga teachers in the family of the yogis of India, and was held by the Jnanis, realized as personified Brahmanandam, universal bliss or cosmic consciousness, the living expression of Punamidam. The divine radiance blooming forth from his shining personality revealed the truth of Punam Idam, and his Sahaj Samadhi, all-time natural state of cosmic consciousness, brought home the truth of both Punamada and Punam. It was the perfection of this great spiritual master that innovated a spiritual renaissance in northern India and wherever he traveled. This great pride of India was Rajaram in his early days, when he was the love of his great family, and was cherished as the rising sun in the community of Mishra Brahmins of the village of Gana near Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh, North India. He was born on the 21st of December 1870, but his hour of nativity claimed him for the recluse order and not for that of the secular. At the tender age of 9, when the other children of the world were mostly busy in playgrounds, he had matured in the idea of renunciation, and by continuous and deep thinking was convinced of the futility and evanescence of worldly pleasures. He realized so early that real and lasting happiness without the realization of the divine. The joys and pleasures that are obtained from the phenomenal world are mere shadows and smudged images of the ideal happiness and bliss that is not far from man, but exists in his own heart, enveloped by the dark clouds of ignorance and illusion. When he was barely 9 years old, he left home and went to the Himalayas in search of God, the light that dispels the great darkness in the human mind, the darkness that stands between enlightenment. On the path of the divine, a proper guide is necessary. During the search for a perfect spiritual guide, he came across many masters and good beginners, but none of them came up to the ideal that he had set for himself. He desired his spiritual master to be not only in philosophic learning, but also to be a person of realization. And over and above these dual achievements, he should be a life celibate, perhaps the natural and legitimate desire of an aspirant who himself had decided to maintain that high life. In the world, as it is constituted today, to find a personality combining these three conditions and attributes is difficult, if not altogether impossible, and so the young truth-seeker had to wander far and long before he arrived. After about 5 years of wandering in the Himalayas, in that valley of the saints, at the Himalayan hermitage, there resided in those days a great spirit, Swami Krishnanand Saraswati, a sage deeply versed in philosophical law, representing a rare and perfect blend of theory and practice and realization. To that realized soul, the young himself for being initiated into the mysterious realms of the spirit. Key practices are attainable not from books and treatises, but only from perfect spiritual masters who silently pass these top secret practices from heart to heart. After some time, with the permission and order of his master, he entered a cave at Uttarkashi with the resolve not to come out before he had realized him. His desire to attain the highest knowledge was not merely an ideal wish or intention. It was a mighty, overpowering that burned like fire in his heart. It permeated every particle of his being and bade him not to rest or stop before the complete realization of the bliss eternal. Soon he arrived at the heatless, smokeless effulgence of the self and realized the divine truth, cosmic consciousness, the ultimate supreme reality, Satchitananda Nirvana. The greatest attainment of a saint is his life itself. The high realized Upanishadic living that develops from direct experience of reality. To understand that inner personality, one must approach such realized souls with an open and receptive mind and try to visualize the great internal life that is the basis of their actual and real form of living. At the age of 34, he was initiated into the order of sannyas by his master at the greatest world fair, Kumbh Mela, which is held once in 12 years at the junction of the two holy rivers, Ganga and Yamuna, at Allahabad city. Then he again proceeded to blessed solitude, the only blessedness. This time he did not go to the Himalayas, but to the Amakantakas, the source of the holy river Narmada in central India. For the greater part of his life he lived in quiet, lonely places, the habitats of lions and leopards, in hidden caves and thick forests, where even the midday sun frets to dispel the darkness that may be said to have made a permanent abode in those solitary and distant regions of the Vindhyagiris and Amakantakas, those mountain ranges. He was out of sight of man, but was well marked in the eyes of the destiny of the country. For more than 1.5 centuries, the light of Jyotirmat was extinct, and North India had no Shankaracharya to guide the spiritual destiny. Here was a bright light of spiritual glory, well adorned by the perfect discipline of Sanatan Dharma, but it was hidden in the caves and valleys and mountains of central India, as though the blessed solitude was giving a proper shape and polish to the personality which was to enlighten the darkness that had overtaken the spiritual destiny of the country by the flash of his mere presence. 20 years to persuade him to come out of loneliness and accept the holy shrine of Shankaracharya of Jyotirmat in Badarakashram, Himalayas. At the age of 72, in the year 1941, a well-marked time in the political and religious history, he was installed as Shankaracharya of Jyotirmat, and that was a turning point in the destiny of the nation. The political freedom of the country dawned under his divine grace, and he was worshipped by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first of India. At the conference of the eminent of the world, during the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the Institute of Indian Philosophers, held at Calcutta in December 1950, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, the famous philosopher and the successor of Dr. Prasad as President of India, addressed Sri Gurudev as Vedanta incarnate, truth embodiment. His policy of spiritual enlightenment was all-embracing. He inspired all alike and gave a lift to everyone in his religious, virtuous, moral, and spiritual life. He was never a leader of any one party. All parties found common leadership in him, and dissensions of various castes, creeds, and sampradayas involved in his presence, and every party felt itself to be a thread in the warp and woof of society, and that all threads make the cloth, and that no thread can be taken out with advantage from it. Such was his universal and all-embracing nature. His entire personality exhaled always the serene perfume of spirituality. His face radiated that rare light which comprises love, authority, and self-assuredness, the state that comes only by righteous living and divine realization. People feel as if some ancient Maharshi of Upanishadic fame had assumed human form again, and that it is worthwhile leading a good life and to strive for realization of the divine. His spiritual teachings are simple and clear and go straight home to the heart. He strictly adhered to the Vedic principles of inner development laid down by the systems of Indian philosophy and ethics, and he raised his voice never in opposition, but always in firm support of the truths and principles contained in the concept of Dharma. He gave to the people the spirit of religion and made them happy in every walk. As time would have it, after 12 years that flashed by, the manifested merged with its origin, the unmanifested, and Brahmalina Brahmanandam is now appearing in the hearts of his devotees as waves of Brahmanandam, bliss. He cast off his mortal coil, but left behind him a few others in mortal coil, Light's grace shining, and pass on the torch of his teachings from hand to hand for all centuries to come. The spiritual regeneration movement was started under his direct inspiration that we received on the 31st of December 1957, the last day of his 89th birthday anniversary at Madras. His divine plan of spiritual regeneration of the world is being worked out quite naturally by the stronghold of time, which is found marking a change in human destiny. We only pray him to keep on guiding us. Jai Guru Dev.